I just got back from watching The Running Man, and I thought it was pretty good. Apparently the reviews were like mixed or like not that good, but I thought it was a pretty good action movie. Better than the new Fast and Furious garbage that's been pumped out. um, but yeah, I'm just talk a little bit about what The Running Man's about, and then I'm gonna probably just give my full thoughts, spoilers, and everything. So, if you don't know, The Running Man is set in a dystopian universe. I wouldn't even say it's a future. It's probably just a universe parallel to ours, but I guess it's based on a Stephen King book wrote way back in like the 70s or 80s or something. So, it was a dystopian future back when it was written. And it's about this guy, Ben Richards. He's pretty poor. Um, he lives in this America where like the gap between wealthy and poor has just grown so substantially to the point where his kid is 2 years old. She has the flu and she's like dying. They can't even like get any type of simple medication to like stop the flu. And he just got fired from his job for like I believe it was sticking his neck out for his coworkers, and he's watching these game shows on TV, and he's like, you know what, I can go participate in one of those and make some money for my family. But I'm not gonna participate in the Running Man because it's super dangerous. No one's ever come back from it. No one wins. But if you do win the Running Man, you win $1 billion. So he goes to the network building. He tries out or whatever with like this giant group of people, and then the network decides what game you would fit for them. And this network, they're in control of the entire media basically. So Ben Richards, his kid's not the only one that's like suffering from things. Like children are dying. There's like gas. There was gas explosion at his last work or whatever, or nuclear explosion, and they got irradiated. Like some of his coworkers, I guess, like became infertile from it and all that stuff. And they're covering all this up. They don't let the general public know what's going on. So anyone who's on the wealthier side has no idea like how bad the poor people are struggling. Um, and so, yep, he goes to this tryout, and he gets picked to be put on the Running Man. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'll do any game but that. And they're like, nope, this is the only game you can play. And so he concedes, and he's like, well, he basically had his hand forced because he needs money so that his kid can get medication. Um, and then the events following this are him participating in this game, trying to take down the system, trying to survive, um, and just accumulate money for his family. Every day he survives, he gains more and more money. If he kills the hunters, which are like they are employed by the network, if he employs any of those if he kills any of those hunters, he gets an additional bonus, and that is the basic premise of the movie. Um, there there are a bunch of great action scenes in the movie. I think Glen Powell does a very good job. The story itself is like is pretty good. I feel like a lot of action movies, like the story is just kind of like there in the background and it's just like only for the action. But the universe is set up pretty well where, like the events taking place, like him getting into, all these fights and having to eventually, kill people, is um it kind of like blends well together, like it works out. The story enhances the fights is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, great action, good story, and I think the pacing was pretty good for most of the movie, but this is where I kind of have my lone complaint because it's an action movie. I had fun watching it. It was entertaining. It's not like a life changing movie by any means, but there was like my major glaring issue with it was the pacing toward the second half of the movie just kind of ramps up, and things just happen just cuz. So like um he meets, Michael Cera's character, and then all of a sudden, he his mom, Ezra, no, Michael Cera's character uh finds him, and she's like a loony, and she's about to hit the button in their house to like call the network, and Michael Cera's just like, oh fuck it, I'm doing it, and just starts killing everybody. Then they just go from there um to the next scene where he's like supposed to be at his dad's hideout, but it was like covered up by some failed community that was being built. And then he goes on, and he's like on he just gets on. Glen Powell just gets onto the highway. Ben Richards gets on the highway, and there's just some random girl drive in a self-driving car, and he gets into a car and like holds her hostage. And she is like brainwashed, like the general public. She's on the wealthier side, clearly. And almost instantly after, he explains to her that like she's the one being lied to, and that he's not the enemy, like the company is. She almost instantly just believes him after like her entire life of brainwashing. Like she's probably, in her mid to late 20s or something. Like she looked around my age, and she's been brainwashed her whole life, and then just from this like one interaction, she's just like sold, and she's on his side now. I thought they could have spent a little bit more time together, like bonding a little bit. But it's like as soon as she saw like he holds a photo with his kid and his wife in it. Oh yeah, he must be telling the truth. I felt like that was just a little rushed. That's all. Um. So yeah, by no means was it a perfect movie, but it was really fun. Action was incredibly like choreographed. Like I said before, Glen Powell, he did a phenomenal job in both the action. I think I saw something about him saying like he did as much of his own stunts as the director would let him. So that was pretty impressive. Um, and him playing like an absolute like psycho that could go off the hinges, but that will do anything for his family. I think he portrayed that like perfectly. Like he wasn't like way too over the top where it wasn't convincing, but he wasn't like like so cold that it's like, what is this guy even motivated by? He nailed the character in my opinion. And that's pretty much all I got to say about this. Um I was going to jump in after about some of the previews of the movies, like, oh my god, there's some bad horror movies coming out, but I'm not even going to get into that. So that's all I got for now. See you in the next one.